Hello ladies and gentlemen, once again this is Jeremy Smith. Happy New Year everyone. I hope that your New Year is off to a good start so far. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you guys may have seen my very first story that I've ever posted. I spoke about Sony's new a7 IV as well as the new 70-200 2.8 G Master version 2. And this is a lens that I have been wanting to test for quite some time. Now the a7 IV, if you guys haven't seen that video yet, I have posted a video kind of sharing my initial thoughts. I will be doing more testing with that camera very soon, but I have finally had a chance to test the 70-200 GM version 2 in more detail. Now, I will be doing a studio shoot, perhaps even an outdoor shoot to give you guys more of a real world feel of how this lens performs. But since I haven't had time to do that yet, I wanted to just make a quick video to outline some of my initial impressions on this lens. If you pick this lens up, it is much lighter than the previous version. I heard someone describe this lens as being very movie prop-like, and I thought that was an interesting way of describing it because it's still feels very solid. It feels very solid just like the previous version. It feels just as solid as any other 70-200 currently on the market, but when you pick it up and you kind of like, well, when you initially look at it and you look at its build quality, you're expecting it to be much heavier. So when you pick it up, yeah, it's actually very movie prop sort of like, but that's not to say it's not solid. So it is quite a weight savings. It's almost a full pound lighter than the previous version. Now, Sony, they did this by subtracting some of the lens elements. You know, they're using more precise lens elements in this lens, and that allows them to basically do more with less glass, and that's how they save the weight. Now, we'll take a look at this lens up close a bit later on, but to give you some initial ideas of what I wanted to test, the first thing I was wanting to think about was the focus speed. Now, on the previous lens, Sony, they had not figured out how to use linear focus motors to drive big, heavy lens elements. So basically, on the old version, they used linear motors on the rear focusing group to basically move those smaller elements, but the big, heavy elements at the front of the lens, they could not drive those with linear motors. So they used a traditional ring-type USM mechanism. Basically, without me getting very super nerdy, that type of focusing motor, that ring type focusing motor, is really good for moving big heavy lens elements, but it can't do so as fast as linear motors. So that's why that lens didn't focus as fast. This one uses linear motors throughout its entirety, so that allows this lens to focus much faster. So yeah, you guys will notice that compared to the previous version, we see much snappier autofocus performance. I am very eager to try this out with some action photography on the Sony A1, so definitely stay tuned for that. Another thing I was curious about on this lens is focus breathing. Now, for those of you that are not aware, focus breathing is basically whenever we see a lens expand or contract its focal length whenever it focuses throughout different parts of its focus range. So on the old version, if you look at it, as the lens focuses close up and then out towards infinity, you will notice that you can see the composition change slightly. This newer lens lives up to Sony's claim. They basically said, even in their press release, that this lens would have no focus breathing, and I'm happy to report that that is definitely the case. It did really well there. Another thing that I was interested about was the sharpness and the lens flare performance on this lens. And spoiler alert, this lens is much sharper than the previous version. So yes, despite having less glass, this lens is sharper than the previous version. I'm going to show you that close up here in a moment in some samples. And before I forget, those samples are able to be downloaded or you can view them on Flickr through the link in the description below, so you can kind of let your own eyeballs see what they think of the sharpness difference. So we'll talk about that more in a moment. And also, I wanted to test the lens flare performance. I know that Sony has updated the lens coatings, but I was really just kind of curious to see how that would translate to flare. And I also was kind of thinking that perhaps having less elements would reduce the amount of flare too. And yeah, that is definitely the case. So we'll look at that more in a moment as well. But in a previous video, I tested Sony's 35 1.4 G Master versus the Sigma 35 1.4 DGDN, and I was going to show you guys some flare differences between those lenses, but I made a mistake. I shot using the sun as my light source, and you know, I didn't feel like that was a really good test because, of course, a cloud kind of goes over and you kind of lose your sun, and it's very inconsistent. So to test the flare performance of this lens, I made a static test scene, and I put a very bright video light to basically backlight everything and basically be my sun. And I put the lens on a tripod and shot some images, and then I changed lenses and did the exact same thing. So that way we can make an exact comparison between both these two lenses in terms of flare performance. So again, I'll show you guys more samples on that in a moment. One final thought I'll leave you with for the time being is that I have had some people ask me about the close-up focus performance on this lens. Now, the previous version of the lens, I was very happy about its close focus performance. It was very useful for things like headshots, you know, where I really wanted to feel my subject's face in the composition, you know, feel the frame with the subject's face. But this is something that the new lens should do even better with, but I didn't get around to testing this lens and the old one side by side. I no longer have access to the older copy of the lens anymore. Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and jump on the computer, and I'm going to show you guys how this lens does in terms of sharpness. I have some images to show you there, and I also have some images to show you to compare the flare performance as well. So before we jump in and take a look at these samples, I wanted to mention one other thing. I did mention testing this lens's parfocal performance. You know, I wanted to see if the lens would actually change focus when zooming, but there's really not a whole lot to report there because this lens does not really change focus when zooming. It is parfocal, but also it's worth mentioning that the old version of this lens is also parfocal, so they basically performed about the same, so there wasn't a whole lot to say about that. So, looking at the quality of the lenses, this is where we do see a big difference. So we have some images here. I wanted to see how our sharpness was. If we take a look at these, with a little bit of a side-by-side comparison, we have the new version of the lens on the right and the old one on the left. And this part of the test was done on the A7R4 because that is currently Sony's highest resolution body. So if we zoom in here, we're shooting at f2.8. I mean, look at that. We see a big difference just straight out of the gate. Now, obviously you wouldn't photograph a painting at f2.8, but we're trying to test the lens here. So 70 millimeters, f2.8, center of frame. The results speak for themselves. I mean, the new version is so much sharper, so much more detail. This basically only gets worse as you progress across the frame and look at the edges. Yeah, I mean, the new lens is way sharper. The old lens also seems to have like a lot of field curvature, meaning that the plane of focus is not even across the frame. So that only makes it look even worse in the corners. So yeah, not even fair at all. 70 millimeters, I mean, it is a night and day difference between how these lenses perform. And yes, of course, these were on a tripod when doing this testing. But yeah, the old lens is still a good lens, but frankly, the new version makes the old one look like it's just broken or something. It's night and day difference. Okay, so taking a look at things at 200 millimeters. See, we'll try to keep everything all lined up. Okay, we still have our new lens on the right. We'll go ahead and punch in here. At 200 millimeters, the old lens does perform better, but yeah, we can still see a difference. From what I can gather in reading and doing my own testing, it seems like the new lens might be a bit more optimized towards the 200N. It's hard to tell. Honestly, it looks good. It looks good across the range. Now, whenever you start to get out to the edges at 200, at f2.8, this is the only time when you really start to see the new version start to look a little bit soft, but it's still very good. But yeah, even if we come down here and look in these areas, the new version is still looking a bit better than the old one. We'll look across the frame here. And yeah, we're still seeing some differences in favor of the new lens. You can see how things towards the edges here are just a bit sharper with the new one versus the old one. Anyways, I'm not going to dwell on this too much. You guys can definitely take a look at some of these samples and let your own eyes be the judge. So, very interesting results with this lens. So yeah, I think this center though shows you that the old version is still a really good lens too. I do want to make that clear as well. So if we jump over and look at our flare performance here, this is our flare test scene. So here I'm shooting at 70 millimeters. Of course, no lens hoods were used, no filters were used during this test. We have our, actually let's see here, let's do this for the sake of continuity. So if we take a look at this, you guys can see there's quite a difference in terms of our flare performance. It is a huge, huge difference. The biggest thing that I'm surprised by with the new lens is just how well it's able to do in terms of keeping the contrast level high. Yeah, like it's a huge difference here. So I have used the old lens in a lot of backlit scenes in the past. I'm definitely looking forward to testing this new lens out in the same types of situations. Really big difference. Okay, we'll take a look at things also at 200 millimeters. At 200 millimeters, this is where things get a little bit interesting. We still see that really big improvement in contrast. The only thing that I'll say is I actually do like how the old lens handles this a little bit better in some aspects, just because, you know, the top of the frame right here, there's this really bright area. But aside from that, again, the new lens does look better. Way better contrast and color whenever we're in this heavily backlit situation. We're not getting any weird like flare color colorization down here at the bottom of the frame. So it looks really good. If we take a look at some of my images from the old lens, from previous shoots and things, again, you can see that the old lens, if I zoom in, this is at 200. And when we were photographing that painting, you know, it was like, oh my goodness, is the old one broken? But the old one is still a good lens. It's just that whenever we're comparing to the new one is so much better. But yeah, this is with the old lens, wide open at f2.8, and you know, Abby's face is quite a ways off center, and we still see some good sharpness here. So just imagine what the new lens is going to do. I'm so eager to go out and test it. And yeah, here I'm getting a lot of flare. It would have been really cool to try this type of test with the new lens. Again, this is something I'm looking forward to. So yeah, all these types of shots, these will be much better with the new lens, thanks to its increased flare resistance. Taking a quick mention, or making a quick mention of some of the physical changes on the lens too. The new lens does now have an aperture ring. That aperture ring is not something that I use a lot, but if you're shooting and say you're a cinematographer and you're using something like Sony's FX9 or FX6, this is where this aperture ring is going to be really nice. It's going to be really awesome to change the aperture with the lens itself and not have to fiddle with the camera controls in those applications. Sony did do something on this lens that I wish they'd do on their other G Master lenses. They actually put an iris lock on here, so you can lock that aperture ring, and that's something that's really sweet. We also have the ability to click or declick that aperture ring as well, so that's nice. And we have another new switch on this lens too, and that is a switch for controlling our direct manual focus. We can actually turn this on and off and not have to change to the DMF setting on the camera body, so that's also a very nice addition. I've heard that it's a bit quirky, but I'm going to have to test this and kind of see. Normally, it's not something that I use a lot, but I'll definitely give this a test and let you guys know what I think. Another interesting thing about this lens is that whenever you use the aperture ring, it doesn't communicate the aperture to the camera body so that the camera body can send it back to the lens. Even though there's no mechanical linkage between the aperture ring and the actual aperture mechanism inside the lens, all the logic for changing aperture is still done within the lens. So whenever you change the aperture ring, it doesn't have to communicate to the camera first. It can just do it directly to the lens, and that's going to make everything very, very fast and responsive. So lots of cool stuff on this lens. Write me in the comments below and let me know what else you'd like me to test on it. Don't forget to like, share, and also subscribe to the channel for all the updates. And also don't forget to follow me on social media. I am definitely going to be posting a lot more Instagram Reels in the future, which I think will be really cool since I don't have a chance to make as many full-on longer format videos on YouTube as I once did. So be sure to check out me on Instagram also. Until next time, this is Jeremy Smith, signing off.